All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us tonight and taking time out of your busy schedule. I just want to, on behalf of the district, thank you guys for your volunteering and all the things you do, and the special things you do to go above and beyond for our students and give them an experience, whether it's on our athletic teams or our PTAs, PTOs, and any other organization that we have out there to give them the experience that they deserve. So I really appreciate the things you do, the time you spend. I know that's the old saying that the harvest is plenty, but the workers are few. And I know I've got a bunch of workers on this call tonight. So I appreciate you guys taking your time. We're just going to really hit the highlights of things we see year over year, issues that come up throughout the year, and just communicate those things and hopefully answer any questions you might have to make this whole process as easy as we possibly can. And we look to refine this process as we go year over year. So the process for this year will go this way. It's a lot like it was last year for you guys that are coming back with us. We would like all PTO, Booster Club presidents, and treasurers, basically anybody that's going to be handling the money, to make sure that they review this training, as well as the school liaison, whether it's the head coach, band director, principal, etc. So if I'm going to email this link out tomorrow, we'll also post it on the website. So encourage the folks that did not make it, and it's open to any member of your organization to view as well. Just trying to be as transparent as we possibly can. But we're going to go through and follow that same process we did last year. The actual application part will be online through a Google form. That's really just the data entry stuff. And then our organizational books with the supporting documentation will be turned into the ESC. Something, as you'll note on here, is a little bit different. I'm giving you guys a little bit more time because I know we want to have that cutoff on June 30th for our balances. So instead of making the book due June 30th, I'm making the book due and the application due July 15th. So that's something that is new for this year. So you got a little extra time what we've had in years past. Important items, just reminders. Raffles is not a bad word. We just got to begin with the end in mind. A lot of times, at least once a year, we have to shut down some sort of raffle because we have not followed the policy, which includes getting Board of Education approval. And there's no exceptions on this. So if this is something your organization is thinking about doing, I suggest you go ahead and start the process ASAP. It starts with the building principal. A lot of times that's going to be Miss Gann because I know a lot of these things run through the high schools when it comes to athletics. She's got to sign off on it first. There is a policy, which I'm going to show you the link to, that spells out exactly what you need to do. But really, you need to start that about 2 months in advance, that whole process that you're planning on doing some sort of raffle. Another thing that we see that we'd like to clean up, make sure you have 2 signatures on every check. Signers should not work at the school site for PTOs. So if you have your treasurer and they're also the 7th grade science teacher at Sloat and it's for Sloat PTO, that's not going to work. That's not a best practice. We need to make sure that we're keeping all school funds and organizational funds separate. I know we have a lot of volunteers here that happen to work for our district as well. And there's obviously some cases where that can't be avoided. But if you got questions about that, please just run that through us here at the ESC. But let's work on making sure we have 2 signatures on every check. And really, this comes down to trying to protect you guys. The more documentation we have, the safer you can be and the safer your organization can be. Meetings are another important thing. I'd say at least make sure that you're having a couple meetings a year in person. You need to have an agenda and keep minutes. And what I'm really looking for this year, this is something I mentioned last year in the organizational book that I really want to see you guys have voted on. You've approved your bylaws and you've documented it because your bylaws are what drive your rules and what you do. And they don't have to be exactly the same for every organization. But if you're wanting to make changes to your processes, again, if there's any issue, I'm always going to, my first question is, are you following your bylaws? So make sure you do that. Make sure, and they can be the same ones from the previous year. There's nothing wrong with that, but we need to approve those year over year. And we also need to approve your budget as well. So make sure that you document this in your meeting minutes. Now, this question is going to come up. You guys might not have another meeting before July 15th. That's fine because you're going to turn in these 2 artifacts when you turn in your organizational book at the end of next year, because your organizational book is a lot of it, 99% of it's documentation from what's happened. Online applications, these are the information and the elements you're going to need before you jump into this thing. You need the address for correspondence. Do not use your school address. Your tax number, ID, or EIN number, who the current officers are that attended tonight's training or watched it online, membership requirements of your organization, the dues structure for your organizations if you have one. If you don't, you can just put NA on that or none. Current officers' contact info. Now, again, elections could happen after the fact, which is totally fine. You just need to let me know and update me if you do hold elections in September for your organization. So we just keep a current list of what's going on. Also need to make sure that you include the previous year's president and treasurer's contact info. When will I say that? Not necessarily looking for address, just ask for their phone number and their email address. Again, you'll have to answer that question about who are the authorized signers on the bank account. Obviously, pretty important. I put it on here twice. Checks require 2 signatures. Something else that's new for this year that I highlighted here is identify who will need to be bonded. And that's basically anybody that's handling money inside of your organization. I'm going to ask for that on the application. What we've done in years past is I've came back in August to you and said, who are those people's names? We're just going to get it up front here. Now, again, those folks could change because people resigning from the board or many number of things. We've had elections. What we're really doing is just bonding that spot. So we're bonding, for example, the president and the treasurer and whoever else that might need to be bonded, whether it's a head coach or something, because they're handling money with accounts and things of that nature. Totally fine, and those things could change. Again, if they do change throughout the year, you just need to contact me, so I'm keeping as accurate of the information as I possibly can. Just so you know, I've got this set up in this Google form in sections. So if you don't have all the information when you jump on there, it will save your progress as you go and take you back to that question. But these are the things you're going to need to successfully fill it out the first time. So just be aware of that. Organizational book, going to look a lot very similar to what it was last year. So there's a applicant certification and acknowledgement signature page, which I will give you the link to tonight. Your bylaws need to be in it, copies of meeting agendas and minutes. And again, I'm looking to see, do we have those agenda and those minutes from where we approve the bylaws and we approve the budget. Those are the 2 big things that I'm looking for in there. Previous year's Booster Club PTO financial report. I've got a link for that. That'll help you build that if you don't already have some sort of software that I'll show you here in a little bit. Copies of your check register must be legible. If you're keeping that by hand, and a lot of you guys just use Excel, so that's or some sort of accounting software, that's better. But make sure we can read that. Proposed budget for the 24-25 school year. This is a lie. I didn't update this. The link is not on the last page of the training, but I will give you that link here in a little bit. Copies of bank statements for each month. That includes, and this is, I wish I could find a way to make this digital and go online, but there's too much paper here. You need to turn in all copies of receipts, invoices for checks made out to individuals, companies, and all electronic purchases signed by an officer. And then bank statements with copies of checks, and then a copy of your monthly check register as well. I put that on there twice, so that must be pretty important. If you're new to this, or if you need to take a look at last year's organizational book, we can check that out to you. We're available here at the ESC Monday through Friday from 7:30 to 4, unless it's a holiday. More likely we will be open during those time periods. I'll just ask you to sign for it, and I'll just need you to turn the book back in whenever you turn your new copy back in. So if you need, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. If you need something to go off of, you can definitely check out your book from last year and check it out. All right, let's get into some questions and answers. I've linked in this presentation, which this is already available on our school website. There is a sanctioning fact sheet. I just pulled out and harvested some big questions from this. So if you have a question that is frequently asked questions, link right here is a great resource for you. But these are things that always come up. Our organization would like to recognize a school employee, a coach, a custodian, a principal, a teacher, giving them a check for $500. Is this permissible under the rules? The answer is absolutely no. Uncle Sam's wants their cut of the pie, so you cannot pay a school employee because of tax implications. So please know that. Is it okay to give faculty gift cards or to give cash donations to a faculty member? Again, the answer is no. IRS has ruled that gift cards are never a de minimis fringe benefit. Therefore, these gifts are taxable income to our employees and will no longer be permitted. This has happened. The IRS has come in situations here in Oklahoma. So we know that this does happen from time to time, and districts have gotten in trouble for this. So if we're, telling you that we're reporting to everybody that we put you guys through training, we're doing it the right way. We need to do it the right way. So really, just do not pay any school employees directly in any sort of form. Okay, and that way we don't have to worry about it. This is a good question because this comes up. If someone provides services such as coaching, lessons, custodial, choreographer, and advertising to our organization, how do we know what our tax obligations are? Again, if it's a district employee, make the payment out to the district. We can run it through payroll and that can totally happen, but you need to, again, begin with the end in mind and make sure you've asked the right questions. We've got that set up appropriately before that happens. If it's not a district employee, then you must determine whether or not the person is providing a service as an independent contractor or an employee. The IRS considers many factors in determining whether the person is either one. If you're unsure, ask the person for evidence of their business status, such as a W-9 form. If you're paying any vendor, everybody should have a W-9 form. Okay. Again, do not directly pay an employee of the district without district approval. Another question, our organization would like to make a contribution to the district for the construction of a garden area and a park bench for campus beautification. What steps should we take? Get permission before you start making great plans on this. Director of Executive Operations is Kevin Hutchins. He does a great job. And it's not trying to be jerks on this deal, but we just want to make sure that when we look at this from 10 years down the road, whatever you're planning on doing, is that going to cost the district more money down the road, or is it going to be hard to maintain? So if you're wanting to add something or donate something, whether it be a garden, park bench, etc., just make sure you get in contact with me, and I can get you in contact with Kevin Hutchins to make sure that it reaches our plans and what we have going on as a district. What is a W-9 form? This comes up a lot too. W-9 form is a form you should request from each vendor you pay. It includes information regarding the type of entity the vendor is, as well as their federal tax ID number. You need a W-9 in order to send a vendor a 1099. If you have to send someone a 1099, or when you send that vendor a 1099, you need to place a copy of said 1099 in your organizational book. So you turn it into IRS, and you also turn it in to your organizational book as well. So we need 2 copies of them down, and you also give one to that vendor. Now, one thing you need to know about this as well is, how do you know which vendor to send a W or a 1099 to? This is anyone who supplies services to your organization that you either rented something from or you received a prize or award and you're not already an employee of Coweta Public Schools. They need to get a 1099. The key thing that we're looking for on this, you only have to send them a 1099 if you spend more than $600 with that same person, whether it's a one-time scenario or it happens throughout the year from January to December. It runs a little bit differently. We're doing our fiscal year here in our clubs and organizations from July 1 through June 30th. The 1099s work on the tax year. So if you pay any vendor more than $600 combined for the whole year, you need to issue a 1099 to them. Now, a couple things you need to know, and this is where this comes up most of the time. Most of the time, these people are advertising folks, people that do bounce houses. I've seen that, and we want to do like the end of the year picnics and things of that nature. Printing, accounting services. We got some booster clubs that they got a lot of money going through there, and they use accounting services. They know what a 1099 is. DJs for dances, cheer or contest judges or choreographers, music writers for band programs. Those folks aren't cheap. Photographers, landscapers, graphic designers, seamstresses. I don't know if anybody uses those anymore, but they can be costly for different things depending on what you're doing. So the main thing is, if you don't feel comfortable with the whole 1099 thing, don't spend over $600 with anyone. I mean, that's the easiest thing I can tell you. So if you got questions, you're not comfortable, just don't do it. Spread that out. Don't spend over $600 with one entity. All right. Again, 2 parts of the sanctioning process. We're going to take a look at those. online sanctioning applications. There is the link right here inside the presentation. I'm also going to show you where it's at on the website, but make sure you turn in that organizational book to me at the ESC by July 15th. Here's my contact info. I'm pretty sure most of you guys have that. This meeting's ending in 10 minutes, so I'm going to have to keep on rolling here to get through this. Let me show you a few things, and we'll get to our Q&A. So Booster Club page on our district website, if you haven't checked that out, this is where all these links are that we're talking about. The district training is on here down at the bottom. I will add the link to this meeting later on, probably tomorrow morning. Also, the sanctioning application instructions. Let's take a look at that. This is a very important document. It's going to walk you through step by step on what you need to do here. Number one, complete the online application. Here is the link to the online application. Okay, again, it's a Google sheet. You can refer back. It's those questions. If you get all that information that I asked for back in the presentation together before you start, there's a reminder of it here of what you need to complete it. Organizational book. There will be a signature page for certifications and acknowledgments. That's the link to the page. It is right here embedded. I need you to print this. This will be the first page of your book. President's printed name and signature. Treasurer's printed name and signature. School liaison. Basically, you've been trained. You know what the rules are. You know who to talk to if you've got a question. Bylaws need to be part of the section there. Copies of meetings and agendas and minutes. The financial report. I have made a financial report for you. If you're a Google person, that's great. You can use Google. All you're going to need to do is make a copy of it. If you're more of a Excel folks, that's fine too. You can download it into Excel. I'm going to show you how to do it real quick. Either way, if you want to make a copy and plug in this information, because you're going to plug in whatever your beginning cash balance was last year at the beginning of the year using your financial reports, and it will go ahead and populate and do all the math for you. Then top part's going to be what were your revenue sources. Bottom part's going to be what were your expenses. You plug that in, it comes out down at the bottom, and this balance right here should match what your bank statement says for June 30th, 2024. Or if you're already done doing business, all your checks is cleared, you can go ahead and start on this right now. Some of you guys do business and checks are still coming through June the 30th. So either way, but again, we're giving you till July 15th to turn this in this year. Okay. So to make a copy, you click File, click Make Copy, and then you can plug in information. Right now, this is locked where you don't have editing access, or you can download it as well as a Microsoft Excel document if you feel more comfortable with Microsoft. You're going to print both this part and bring it in anyways. Okay, back to the sanctioning applications. Again, need copies of the check registrar. If you've got an online program that does this, great. If you need help, I've got a copy I can send you. If you need something to go off of as far as an Excel spreadsheet as well, just contact me. The other thing that's important, again, is the proposed budget. Again, I've got a fillable sheet that you can either make a copy of. It looks very similar to the expenditure report, but you're going to start off with whatever your bank statement says as of July 1st or June 30th, 2024 in this blank right here. And you're going to list all the fundraisers that you're going to do, whether it's fundraisers, merchandise sales, donations, contributions, fees to join the club. And then you're also going to come down here to this end. I'd say be generally specific on how you're going to use these things. So the beautiful part about this, if you'll go and you'll get this approved by your board and you've got a set budget, you don't have to get approval every time you make a purchase as long as it's staying inside what you've already approved. So there is a list. I would try to categorize these things because I mean you're not going to be able to say every little thing that happens, or you're not going to know everything that happens. But look at what you've done in the past. So again, begin with the end in mind on that. Copies of bank statements. Please make a tab for each month. Shows your receipts, your invoices, bank statements with the copies of the checks, copy of monthly registrar, and then the process at the end. The superintendent, and in this case, it'll be me, Mr. Myers, has kind of charged me with overseeing this. We'll review the application and organizational book. And then as long as everybody has done what we've asked them to do, we'll recommend them to the Board of Education for sanctioning. This request for sanctioning by the applicant group to the Board of Education of the Coweta School District pursuant to the federal funds collected by the applicant group are exempt from the statutory controls over school activity funds. One more thing in your book, please do not use staples. If I have to make copies, that just slows down the process for me. I tried to capture these digitally last year and it was a nightmare. So hopefully if we don't use staples this year, might be able to do that next year and be able to give you back your book. So that is the presentation for tonight. I'm going to hop back over to the Zoom and hopefully see if there's any questions in the chat, or feel free to unmute yourself if you have some questions. I got that 10-minute warning. I really kind of picked up the pace on this. Does anybody have any questions? Hopefully by now you know where to find me. If you do, feel free to email me, call me. Again, I will post this. I'll send it out via email and I'll post this on the school website. And there's no dumb questions for sure. Trust me, I'm learning this whole process as I go, and I look forward to trying to improve it and make it easier on you guys as much as we can. Unfortunately, there's just some things, some documentation, that we hold on to for 7 years just in case Uncle Sam comes knocking our door and wants to see something. All right. Well, if there's not any questions, guys, I appreciate your time tonight. Appreciate all you do again for our kids and our programs. So have an awesome evening.